Good to see everybody. It's been over a month. I've missed you dearly. Even Gerald. Nothing? We have quorum. Do we have Martin online?
Yes.
And Matthew Jack. Okay, perfect. Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. I acknowledge that we're located on the traditional territory of the Lakotech people. The adoption of public agenda.
Move adoption.
Thank you,
Second.
Director Wally, Director Colburn, and
Thank you, Chair. I've got an item of new business.
item under new business. And what is the item?
It's regarding an item called motorsport resolution.
Okay, we'll put that under new business.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. So move the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Petition and delegations. Michaela Aruda, did I say that correctly? No, sorry. Oh. Michaela.
That's right.
Did I get the last name at least?
Michaela Aruda, yes, that's right.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Please,
Yes.
go ahead.
Thank you for having me. I'm the Executive Director of the Campbell River Community Foundation. I'm here today to share some updates about our programming, and I also have a request for support of our Vital Signs publication, which is due out in October of this year, 2024. Okay, so, whoops. Brief history here. Our community foundation in Campbell River was started with $5,000 of seed funding from the City Council in 1992. Since that time, we have now distributed, these were 2023 numbers, we're at 3.4 million, or 3.5 million in our endowment fund and over 1.5 dispersed into our community within mostly the boundaries of the School District 72 territory. We, donors, when they contribute to our community foundation, primarily what we do is we add those donations into our endowment fund, and you'll see here the different types of funds that we offer. So mostly our community fund is the source of grant funding that we give out to other nonprofits and charities in our community, but we have a number of options for various types of donors in our community for sure. We also have now started administering also what we're calling non-endowed funds. And so you'll see that there's some examples there. We did disperse the Community Services Recovery Fund last year. We also have options for donors to fund an unfunded grant application. So we're often oversubscribed for requests. And so we've started taking those requests out to the community and getting some private donors to contribute to things that align with their interests and where they want to make a difference in the community. Now, this is just a quick little glance at the community grants that were approved this year. So these are 2024 results in front of you, and the agency funds, you'll see an additional $40,000 was distributed to some registered charities that have actually pooled their capital into our endowment fund. The revenue from their portion of the fund, then we disperse back to that organization. So it creates a passive and regenerative source of income to those organizations. I've placed in front of all of you today our Vital Signs report, and so this is a community deliverable that we've begun doing, and you have to be a community foundation to do the Vital Signs program. So it's run by community foundations across Canada. There's over 210 foundations, and 80 of them, including ourselves, have opted in to doing the Vital Signs program. Vital Signs data across the country is then collated at the national level by Community Foundations of Canada, and then it's used as sort of a master report to advocate for funding federally for different priorities around our country. You'll see here there's a heading of these are the 13 sectors that we report on, and I've highlighted in red some key sectors that we're going to do a deeper dive on in this 2024 report. So typically, we start with census data, and then we supplement at the local level with interviews with subject matter experts, or SMEs. And then from there, we also do a community survey. So when you're looking through the vital signs report that I put in front of each of you, you'll see a talking bubble, if you will, at the bottom. And any sort of information that's in that bubble is what we heard from the people in our community. The belonging and leadership and the work and economy sectors are highlighted in red because we want to get a better understanding while we're in the interim of census data. A full profile right now has not, of course, there isn't a new one right now. So in this interim, we're going to report on any national stats that we can include in here. But then while we have this opportunity, we're going to open up a couple of other sectors a bit deeper. We want to get a better understanding of the economic impact of the nonprofit and charitable sector. We recognize that there are many organizations in our community that are holding government grants for multi-millions of dollars, and then that is creating employment opportunities and allowing people to work and live in our community. And of course, they're providing another service to the community, counseling, various types of things, of course. Also, in our report this year, we're going to do another survey to our seniors sector. The stats from 2022 are significant with the projection for seniors population in Campbell River. And we understand that there are certain things that seniors need, and then at another level, there's certain things that organizations serving seniors need. We want to get a better understanding of what organizations need because we're an organization providing funding and resources to the organizations serving people. So we're going to use this opportunity to do this survey and identify just what it is that we need as a community to provide opportunities for people to age with dignity and health. Ways to mobilize vital signs. So of course, we're looking at community strengths and priorities and identifying, I think there, when you know what your strengths are in your community, you can actually use those to inform your decision-making on how you're going to address those priorities or those areas of need in your community. So of course, that leads into number 2, which is strategic planning. Any for-profit, nonprofit, any organization looking at doing strategic planning or identifying priorities over the coming years, looking at vital signs, and then, of course, looking at where the trajectories are heading in the different sectors in our community. You can use that to inform your business plans and community development plans. Of course, we also, by reporting per sector, you can identify different organizations serving that sector, and then sometimes you even see efficiencies when 2 sectors may work together on a certain need, and that is a great opportunity to develop partnerships to address something. Advocacy, so nonprofits and charities, also just communities, anybody that's writing a grant or seeking some type of funding or resources for your community, this Vital Signs report will provide an at-a-glance document where you can pull reliable statistics and you can quote them in your grant applications. So also, for us, at the Community Foundation, we do use Vital Signs to inform some of the decision-making on our granting and how we're allocating funding into the community. Of course, it can't just be hard and fast about like just these priorities. You always want to make sure you have room for those little grant applications that are coming in that really enrich, community and on the ground in Campbell River. So, but we do largely use it. And of course, as I've mentioned, a big priority is seniors. So you'll see some of the grants that we gave this year were to benefit that sector. Also, a bias check. It was interesting when we launched our last report, we put out a fun little quiz on the table and we said, hey, what do you guys think the answer to these questions are? And we had people, before looking at vital signs, run through and provide what they thought was true about a number in our report. And then we gave them, 10 minutes. We said, don't think about it too hard, just answer the question. And then we gave them the page numbers where the actual answer was. And it was really fun and interesting to see people have this sort of like really natural opportunity to unfold what they thought was true, and they were wrong. Sometimes that's hard for people. I also want to add that for this report, specifically, even for the regional district, I know that the community profile reports are done, and I think I understand that that's another deliverable from the SRD that may be upcoming. So I hope that by supporting Vital Signs from the regional level, that you find it to be creating an efficiency for yourselves later on when you're putting together your community profile. So this brings us to the budget, and you'll see that we've retained a data analyst here. So we've got her cost plus the GST, also our design, and you'll note that our design this year is kind of high, but we are seeing this as an investment in the future reports as well, because now what we hope to demonstrate in our report to make sure that it's very readable and user-friendly to as many people as possible, we want to be looking at the trajectory. This is our fourth report that we're putting out. So we've got 2016, 2018, 2022, and now 2024 data, and we really hope to be using lots of charts and graphs to be able to show the difference or the change over time in the community. That, of course, is going to take some extra design time, and so that's why that number is a little bit high. Printing as well is quite high. Costs of printing have just really, there's nothing we can do about it. That's what we were quoted, and it's what it costs to do. So for our launch event, we do have a partnership with our Daybreak Rotary Group, and we're going to do a big community breakfast, and I'm extending the invitation to each of you to be a part of that day, and we'll do another bias check. Then also when we opt into doing the Vital Signs program, we have to purchase some data from the Community Foundations of Canada program. So that data comes somewhat interpreted already, and then it comes to us, and then we supplement in ways that make sense for our community. I'll say so far on the incoming side, we've got a sponsorship from Daybreak Rotary for $3,000. NIAFS has contributed $2,000. Coastal Community Credit Union did a community grant to us for $1,000. My request to you today is to support this initiative with $5,000. And for transparency, I want to let you know that I'm going to be going to the city of Campbell River. And this number here was historically what the city has contributed in the past. Starting in 2016, the city contributed $10,000 and have ever since for each of our publications. This year, I'm going to be looking a little bit closer, and that request may be going up slightly just because, of course, $10,000 in 2016 doesn't go as far as $10,000 does in 2024. So, yes, my request to you today is for $5,000, but we can talk about that in a minute. I just wanted to show you also the project timeline. So we've got our data analyst, we have developed our priorities and our outline and our surveys. I'm expecting them to be the draft form in my inbox by Friday. And we've got our budget in place. We're going to be moving towards in May our data acquisition, and that's going to be putting out and advertising our surveys to be responded to. And then, of course, in June, July, there's going to be the interpretation and collation of the data. August and September is going to be design and printing. And then in October, there's one of two dates, but I will tell you as soon as I know what that date is, because I hope you all join. And it's breakfast, 6:45 a.m. I just wanted to also, I won't read all these because I think that you can read them yourselves if you like, but I hope that you see that we've, got some testimonials here from our community and how this report is beneficial. And I'll just say who they're from. So we've got the Highway 19 Concert Society, Family Services, the Head Injury Society, Discovery Passage Aquarium, Community Futures, Strathcona, and the North Island College, which is a good array, I believe, of testimonials and really demonstrates the ways, the diversity of ways that you can use this report in our community. And just before I close, I just wanted to give you guys a quick update about some other upcoming events that we've got on our agenda. So April 30th, we have that's this coming Tuesday, there's a donor appreciation event at the Campbell River Museum. On June 5th, I've started an executive director networking group, and I pull EDs together once every 4 months and deliver some content that they express they would like to learn about. So this one is for social media training. June 14th, this is our vital conversation that we're working with the Canadian Alcohol Use Disorder Society. And I'll just point out, if you're wondering why we're doing that, if you all would turn to page 11 for a moment and look at the little graph there about alcohol consumption in liters per year. In British Columbia, the number of standard drinks for individuals 19 and older is 512. The average number in Island Health is 677, and the average number in Campbell River is 844. If you look just below that, you'll see that there's mood and anxiety disorders and and the rate of diagnosis there, and those numbers directly correlate with, being at one number for BC, higher for Island Health, and then higher yet again for Campbell River. This Vital Conversation will be invitation only. We're not seeking funding for the Vital Conversation, but we will also be inviting any interested regional directors to come and attend that event as well, because we hope that we can all be working towards solving or addressing this issue in our community together. July 13th is our AGM. July 20th is our Swing for Charity, putting the fun in fundraising golf tournament. And TBA, we've got a couple things in the queue that are just looking for some dates to go on. So we were doing a wills and estates planning session, some governance training for nonprofits, and we're looking to bring also a documentary on the charitable sector to our community for a community viewing and follow-up discussion. So that concludes my presentation for today. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Directors, questions? Director Mawhinney?
More of an observation than a question. Thank you very much for your presentation. It was very informative, and I do really appreciate the information that's in here. It's very illuminating. I didn't realize a lot of the statistics that were in here actually pertain to our area. So thank you very much for the resource, and thank you very much for your presentation this morning, or this afternoon.
Director Von Esch?
Yeah, thank you. Presentation really informative. I love these vital signs reports. They're great in all the municipalities that they happen. Can you clarify, is this just for Campbell River, or is this for the whole Strathcona Regional District?
I was wondering if you were going to ask me that question. So if you turn on to just page 3, right inside the inside cover there, it'll show that the geography that is covered in the 2022 report. Moving forward, since this report has been put out, our Quadra Island and Cortes Island have each started their own community foundation. Something that's really great about community foundations, we all have our own charitable constitution, our own governance, we serve our own region. So our service region is traditionally School District 72, which of course includes those 2 foundations. As those 2 foundations kind of get on their feet and get going, they are also developing their own vital signs reports to identify the unique needs of those 2 remote islands. And so I did want to share that I've been in touch with both the Quadra Island and Cortes Island, and we've had a discussion about how our vital signs are going to look this year. They're each doing their own report. So we're all identifying our own sources of funding for this report, and there may be overlapping requests from those regional areas. But then, of course, we also, in our vital signs, you'll see report on Sayward, for example, which falls outside of the city of Campbell River area. And so my request to you is for the funding that is representing Campbell River from the city, and then some boundaries that are outside. And in our report as well, we plan to have 1 page in the back of our vital signs with just some highlights of the Cortes Foundation findings, highlights of the Quadra Foundation findings, and then a QR code that will direct readers over to those 2 foundations if they want to see more information about them. And I do have a little bit of information regarding where they are in their process if you would like to know some more on that.
Director Mawhinney?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Michaela, for the presentation. And part of what I was curious about, you've just answered. And I have been in conversation with the Quadra Foundation. They have been asking about potential grant and aid funding as they plan on presenting this report or creating this report for Quadra Island. I'm curious what your thoughts are on the benefits of separate vital signs reports for these areas, and do you see the benefits outweighing the costs of funding and creating individual reports?
I do believe that the community strengths and needs and concerns that are on Quadra Island, for example, are different and unique maybe to the ones that we see here in Campbell River. There may be alignments in some of those sectors, but I do believe that there is now a community foundation on Quadra, and I think the more that we can lift them up and empower them with the opportunity to represent their community and create relationships and really understand those key issues, then I think that is a great thing.
Any other comments or questions? Director Kerr?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your presentation. Just reviewing the last one, I noticed there's not a lot that you do a breakdown by sex. And in fact, the only one I saw going all the way through was the breakdown of work and economy, employment income, which is obviously making a point. But, you know, for instance, alcohol consumption, mood and anxiety disorders, you know, it would be really interesting. I mean, these are great numbers. But when it's just applied to the general population, it doesn't really narrow down and really highlight some. I mean, some of these numbers would be highly skewed if you did put the male-female breakdown on.
Yeah, I'll also maybe point out too that in the back of the report, okay, so the stat that you were looking at there was referenced as numbers 24 and 29. And if you flip over to the back, you're going to see the sources of the information and where we got that from. And so anytime that you're looking for more information about some number or information that's been published into the Vital Signs, then you're able to go to the back and find that source and do some and look it up online or do some
Dig a
further
little bit.
reading. And I'll say the benefit of having these highlights of all the sectors in the community, or in the report, sorry, is that when you really read the report from front to back, you see this sort of, it creates a cross-sectoral snapshot of the community, and you really start to make connections about how one sector may be impacting another. I think, of course, there's always, it's interesting because a lot of the reports that we reference in the back here, I mean, they're very in-depth reports and there's all kinds of information in there. And then what we'd want to do is pull out some of that key information and demonstrate what's going on in our community. And then, yeah, I hope that.
Yeah, well, no, I agree, and that's a good thing, and it is kind of a Coles Notes or, you know, statistics for dummies, or, you know, kind of thing. But, you know, at risk of actually skewing them by, I mean, because you really are the editors or whoever's producing the editors.
We have a committee,
so
yeah.
You can use it to paint a picture by ignoring certain things, or, you know, that's the, you know, curious thing about numbers and statistics is that, you know, they can be used in any number of ways.
Well, and thank you for saying that. And you know, because Vital Signs, like I said before, it's a national program. And so when we opt into this program, there are certain rules that we have to follow, and there's certain things that were guidelines and parameters that we're given and how we're reporting and what we're putting into the reports too. So I hope that, I hope that, you know, you find some comfort in knowing that, you know, we're trying to be very objective and we're trying to use this really to help, inform our community and get everyone sort of active and engaged in making a difference. And also so that we can, like I said before, track the change in the community. It's sort of like that ultimate environmental scanning tool that you can use to, to inform your decision making.
Right. I saw one that bounced out at me, which was the Campbell River Arts Council membership. And, you know, it's interesting how you can take a number and present it different ways. And it says the Arts Council had 144 members. Members can participate in the annual members exhibit. The truth of it is, unless you have a membership, you can't be in the members exhibit. So it's reversed. So a significant number, including myself in the past, I've stopped doing it, but that's the only way you can actually exhibit is by having a membership. So you're kind of forced into buying a membership to exhibit, you know what I'm saying? So it presents it differently. And that's, you know, I mean, that's obviously just the way things are, but it's how statistics and numbers and things like that can be, you know, for the casual observer, just, well, this is a fact. But there's always something more to it.
Ron, I'd love to have you on our committee.
Anyone else?
No, not a problem.
Director Sinnott.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and to Michaela. Could you maybe just elaborate a little bit more on how the vital signs is used by the granting methodology and approaching potential donors and how the donor system works? Because people have needs to do charitable giving, but sometimes they don't know what the needs in the community are and how they can have confidence that this drives a long-lasting benefit to the community as opposed to like saying, oh, I really like this area today versus what will be the needs in the future. Thanks.
Sure. With regards to the granting practice, I mean, with our unrestricted community fund, then, you know, we do, like I said before, we use this to help inform the decision making. And so at the grant committee level this year, we identified the, you know, housing, the senior sector, and mental health across the lifespan are all priorities. And then we also, it's interesting because you can only be looking at the grant applications that you receive. And so sometimes you don't necessarily get an application that is going to fulfill one of those areas, but when you do, then you can identify. Also, we vet, make sure that these organizations are registered charities. We look at, you know, budgets and if you have a partnership in the community and all of those types of things. And then, yeah, we at the committee level adjudicate and have a discussion about if there is any sort of questions or holes in that application or things that we need to know before we can actually approve that grant. And then also everything does pass by the board for approval. With regards, we also have our field of interest funds, and that's when a donor establishes that they have something that's very important to them. And so with a field of interest fund, if you, you know, you really want, you align with children and youth and education, and that's something that's really important to you, then when that donor establishes their fund, they can identify those priorities and say, any grant application that comes in that fulfills my priority interest, then we can apply the revenue from that donor's fund to those grant applications. And so we certainly do have some that get prioritized because those donors have established those funds. But every application, we vet them and look through to make sure that they're all legit before moving forward.
Thank
Did I
you.
answer your
Anyone else?
question? Yeah.
Anyone else? We have a motion to receive? Not yet.
Second.
Not yet. Second discussion? Too late. Can we go with it? Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Is there a motion, a second motion on the floor? From anyone? No?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that $5,000 from the Regional Grants and Aid be allocated towards the 2024 Vital Signs report.
Director Dahl, second. Discussion?
I have to declare a conflict of interest.
Hey, again, discussion? Clarification?
Is that a regional grant and aid?
Yes.
Regional Grant and Aid. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you all very much for today and for your time, and I look forward to seeing you at breakfast in October.
Can you make it a little past 6:30? Just saying.
6:45.
Should someone go and get
Yes.
Director Sinnott?
Thinking of a brunch. Pardon me?
I can send her back in.
Yeah, brunch is good for me. Adoption of minutes, that the minutes of the regular meeting of the board held on March 27th be adopted.
Chair, I have an alteration I would like to suggest to the minutes.
Please.
Thank you. Yeah, there's just one change that I noted for correction under staff reports, the Quadra Island liquor license amendment. The motion after receipt that the regional district will not be providing comments. That motion is made by Moini. And the following motion, the motion for a board resolution following community consultation, I believe that motion was made by Directors Lott and Rice.
If I may, so process-wise, should we accept the minutes first and then I'm just looking for guidance from corporate services.
Sorry?
If I may.
You may, by all means.
Mr. Chair, I think the board could either amend them before dealing with the acceptance, or they could accept and then with the follow-up
Accept
amendment.
as amended.
Doesn't really matter.
Then I would like to move an amendment prior to adoption.
Very well. Everybody's got that? We're good to go? Okay, as amended.
Second?
Director Colburn was first. Further discussion? She can have it. That was very gentleman of you. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried.
So I'll move adoption of minutes as amended.
Second.
Thank you, Director Vanish. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Business arising? None. Public consideration? None. Notice of motion? None. Chair's report? None. Consent calendar? None. Committee Chair's report. Electoral Area D Advisory Planning Commission, that the draft minutes of the regular meeting of Electoral Area D Advisory Planning Commission was held on April 3rd, 2024, be received.
Move receipt.
Move it.
Director Rice?
Second.
Director Lott, I think, was second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Strathcona Accessibility and Exclusion Advisory Committee? Inclusion, I apologize. Does that mean you're moving it in its entirety?
Sure. I will move receipt.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Director Goldburn, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Number 3, Electoral Area Service Committee, that the draft minutes of the regular meeting held on April 10th, 2024 be received. Director
Second.
Wally, Director Lott, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Staff reports. Development Variance Permit Application, DV 1D24, that the report from the CAO be received.
Move receipt.
Director
Second.
Goldburn and then Director Mowini. Discussion? What? Oh, it wasn't Goldburn, it was Director Rice. I apologize. Director Rice, Director Mowini. I was just thinking about you, Julie. Do I have discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. And B, that the development variance permit DV 1D24 as presented to staff dated April 10th, 2024 be approved and the corporate officer be authorized to issue the permit.
Move recommendation.
Director Rice. Second. Director Mowini, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Thank you. Opportunities for EV charging stations in the region. A report from the CAO be received.
So moved. Second.
Sorry, who was that? Director Von Esch and Director Colburn, second.
Renee will speak to this, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Chair Baker and directors. The report before you today is to provide some options for EV charging stations within the SRD. The province has set new targets for the adoption of zero-emission vehicles, and by 2035, 100% of new vehicle sales will be zero-emission. And as more people and businesses transition to electric vehicles, there's going to be a need for additional EV charging infrastructure. The availability of public charging stations within the region is currently limited, and increasing charging stations would benefit both residents and visitors using EV vehicles. To increase this infrastructure, the SRD could consider a regionally based service to install, operate, maintain the infrastructure. In 2024, there are new intakes for grants, both federally and provincially, to support the installation of charging units. Another option is BC Hydro's public EV charging program, where they would build and operate EV charging infrastructure. Through a partnership with the SRD and BC Hydro, we'd identify locations, agree on them together, and BC Hydro would complete the research and design of those charging stations. Based on a real high-level evaluation of the two options, we could do one or the other or a combination of both. There does seem to be advantages to exploring the partnership with BC Hydro, as the infrastructure could be built sooner and have minimal financial and operational risks to the SRD. The recommendation in the report is that we further explore a partnership with BC Hydro.
Okay, we're under discussion on receipt. Director Wally.
I'm probably unique in my opinion, but I think this is a national security risk. I don't think our hydro grid is capable of servicing the stations that the government has planned across BC. I would expect that if we end up with a change of provincial government or federal government, these will swiftly change. This grid agenda will collapse, and therefore I'm opposed.
Okay, thank you. Director Davis.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I am in favor of this. I know Village of Tassos has been lobbying BC Hydro to bring forward some sort of subsidy to allow small communities such as ours to have this, so we can have electric vehicles coming into the community. I noticed, I was listening to Director Wally's comments, and I certainly do agree that if we see electric vehicles come into great use right across BC, that we're probably going to be running into energy deficits. And I'm hoping the provincial government is cognizant of that and will be bringing forward new sources of energy to make this possible. So, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Director Colburn.
For discussion on the report, I'm wondering if working, because we have two options, either working on our own with a service or with BC Hydro, do you see that working with Hydro would, do you think it would make it easier to align between Waddington and the SRD, or Comox Valley and the SRD? Do you see that kind of as being a way that they would move forward? Because my assumption is that that's the way that we would move forward if it was our service. So could you?
Yeah, I think the recommendation to look in a partnership with BC Hydro and maybe hopefully the other regional districts would as well, and so they can align the network consistently throughout there. So that's our recommendation.
Okay, Director Mulwiney and then Director Rice.
Thank you, Chair. I'm pleased that we're considering constructing and supporting electric vehicle charging stations, and I'm hoping that there can be an emphasis on the more rural areas of the SRD. What I couldn't ascertain from the report is if creating a service is also required if we are working with BC Hydro, or if the project would then be within the scope of the administration service.
CAO.
We don't know that yet. We just put that in as a possible option. Certainly, we're not looking at subsidizing the service, but as you know, you've seen across some of the requests from grant programs that they require you to establish a service. Doesn't mean it's going to cost any money. So we don't know the answer to that. We'll certainly, if the board supports this resolution in the reports coming forward, we'll advise, but it's certainly not our intent to bring something forward with a source of funding that we are going to subsidize the stations. As our understanding is that all the money would come for design, build, and operate from BC Hydro. However, there may be a requirement to establish a service. Not certain about that.
Director Rice.
Thank you, Chair. I do support this. I know that there's great interest in Area D for this, and the challenge that has been experienced already is that for businesses to go out and try and work through the grants and work through the applications, it's quite challenging, and then they get refused. So I think if the SRD can push that along, I think that would be the way forward. And I'm quite keen on the fact that with BC Hydro, it may open up more possibilities. Thank you.
Thank you. On receipt, Director Lott.
More of a testimonial is that the Village of Gold River already made an application for grant funding through BC Hydro. We received it. We installed the EV charging station at our Visitor Info Center. Overwhelmingly popular support from all electric car users that they indicated that because we had that service now in our community, they actually came out and took advantage of tourism opportunities in our region. So it acts as it opens a door and it provides a corridor for a whole new stream of tourism opportunities. And obviously, there's environmental benefits from it too. But yeah, from a tourism perspective, business perspective, very positive in our community, very well received. And yeah, I would like to see an expansion of this.
Thank you. Director Kerr.
Thank you, Chair. And just a question for staff and maybe Mayor Dahl. Campbell River's got quite a few stations. Do you know if they're maintained by BC Hydro?
I don't
In the city?
myself. I don't think the city maintains them though. I think BC Hydro does. Like in Gold River, for example, I don't believe the village maintains that EV charge station. Yeah, Hydro does. So I think the same thing as in the city. I could be wrong, but.
Director Dahl.
Well, I'm pretty sure that BC Hydro doesn't maintain Flow's charging point that's at the art gallery. So there's really on the island, Flow and Charge Point are the two large independent EV charging companies, and then BC Hydro. So BC Hydro takes care of theirs, and I'm guessing that Flow and Charge Point take care of theirs. That would be my question first would be, does the SRD want to make money off of this service? If they do, then they should be looking at Flow and Charge Point. The city, in our previous term, it was considered to have free service. I don't know if I'm the only person here that has a full electric car, but I also drive a truck and nobody buys fuel for my truck, so I don't know why you would want to buy electricity for my car. And I said that in a council meeting, and we charge after 30 minutes. I think you have 30 minutes for free, and then after that, there's a fee that starts being charged, and the city should be getting a kickback from that. BC Hydro, you don't get that, but from Flow and Charge Point, you don't get to charge a dead car in what they say is 40 minutes, but depends on the size of the battery. So
Okay,
those are some considerations.
Yeah, that's helpful, thank you. So what we generally do with grant programs is that when something comes along, we'll bring it to the board and say, hey, you interested? So I believe if there's granting programs through Flow and Charge Point, we would bring them forward and say, hey, what about this opportunity? That might be a reason for a service as well. The BC Hydro one, which presents itself that we're looking for a resolution, is to engage in a partnership, but we certainly wouldn't not look at the other two. Yeah, if there's opportunities to provide the charging and you can make some money, well, that sounds like a good plan to me.
Okay, Director Kerr.
Yeah, just my concern, if we're setting up a service and Campbell River is going to end up paying 70% of the cost, that, would probably not be a great decision on my part in terms of voting.
Yeah, so just to reaffirm, it's not the intention that this would be a subsidized service through the partnership program. It's our understanding that, and we'll bring back further details, but that there's no operational maintenance cost to the SRD. Because otherwise, like Director Dahl just said, we'd be paying for people, subsidizing people filling up their electric car. That's not our intent.
Director Colburn.
So this is so the recommendation is an investigation, so that would come back to the board before there was any.
Correct, yeah.
Director Sinnott.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So the first thought was we were already looking at regional transportation. This seems to quite well fit in with the sort of the overall organization of transportation strategies. And just to broaden our minds, we now have requests for EV charging of airplanes. So there's other needs than just vehicles. And then you have buses and other types of transit systems, and then we're looking at the logging industry, which is electrifying as well. So we might want to be a little bit more broad-minded in terms of what we're looking for. I'm just sort of raising that sort of as an issue. It isn't just cars now.
Right. Thank you. Still on receipt. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. B, that the regional district further investigates partnership opportunities with BC Hydro to host public EV charging stations at locations within the SRD.
So moved.
Okay, we Director Colburn, Director Lott, second. Discussion? Director Colburn.
Well, and I know that in this it's an investigation process, so I would expect the report would come back. I would love to know about BC Hydro's comparativeness to a private company, another private company, and what kind of parameters and rubric that they use for locations and those kinds of things. So some technical information as well, so that we can make a really informed decision. That's all. Just kind of a.
Yeah, I'm happy as direction of staff when we bring something back. We'll look at what the opportunities are with Flow and ChargePoint and explain kind of the differences in the opportunities there.
So you would include those other private as well as the partnership opportunities with PC
Yeah.
Hydro?
Yeah.
Do you want that amended?
No,
Okay.
that's fine.
Director Colburn.
I really like for it to say then partnership opportunities with BC Hydro and others to host public EV charging stations, but
It's fine with me. That doesn't bother me either way.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All in favor of the amendment? Opposed? Seeing none? Carried. Now the motion is amended.
motion is amended.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Director Wally's opposed. Thank you. Motion is carried. Number 3, Vancouver Island Climate Leadership Steering Committee appointment. With report from the CAO be received.
Move receipt.
Okay, we had Director Wally, Director Mawini, second. Yeah, you good with that? Sure, let's do that. Discussion.
So, Mr. Chair, the resolution for us was to bring back a report on board appointment to the committee, and that is before you. So it's up to the board to nominate a member.
Okay, we're still on receipt. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried.
Mr. Chair, I move that Director.
Your microphone, please.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I move that Director Mooney be appointed as the Regional Director's representative to the Vancouver Island Climate Leadership Steering Committee for 2024. And that Director, do we have a name for alternate?
Does it start with a V?
Vanesh.
Looking for a
I would like to
suggestion.
nominate Director Vanesh as the alternate.
As the alternate representative.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Second. Thank you. Discussion. Director Dahl?
I'm going to nominate Councillor Sinnott and as an alternate, Councillor Chapman.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Okay, so all in favor of? None? Yeah, it's correct.
So I think we have to go to a ballot form.
Ballot or hands?
You could do it by hands if you wish, but you
Okay.
can do it by secret ballot as well if you wish.
Who's comfortable with secret ballot or by a show of hands?
Yes, secret ballot.
We have that.
Secret ballot?
Ballot's always best, Mr. Chair.
We have that? Okay, we'll go secret ballot. Boy, let's take a 15-minute break first. No, I'm just kidding. Just to build the excitement, you know? No, I'm sorry. I had you all excited for a break?
Director Davis may have a question.
Director Davis, do you have a question?
Yeah, how do
we
us
doing
virtual
just-
people participate in a secret ballot?
There's going to be nothing secret about it.
Put them both
One and
out.
two.
I suppose you could type in the Teams chat. That's about as secret as we can get for you, I think.
message someone
No.
as well on Teams.
Or text.
have electronic ballots.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you have electronic ballots for you. Edith will send you.
By email?
I'm not sure.
Which set?
Just saying tough, Director Davis.
Okay.
It's only one person we need to do this for. Why can't Martin just text her?
Who was the alternate for Mawini? Can you read the names off again? I forget the names. Oh, Ganesh, okay.
So directors, the two slates are Director Mawini and Director Vonish on the one hand. On the other hand, Directors Sinnott and Chapman.
Mitch and Max?
So we're getting two ballots, we have to vote on here?
There'll be one ballot distributed to each director.
So we can't mix because they've run as a slate?
That is my understanding.
I don't know. That seems horrible.
Thank you.
Jack and Davis, you should have your ballots through email.
Yeah, it's supposed to send me some authenticator code, but I don't have the app for it on my phone. I did send you a private email with my vote.
I see it there. Thank you.
Okay.
Director Jack, can you private email me your vote, please?
May I have the envelope, please?
Do you want to pass it to Tom, please?
Comes a big moment, folks.
So directors, we do have the results of the vote, and the slate of Directors Sinnott and Chapman has been chosen for the appointment to the, get this right, the Vancouver Island Climate Leadership Steering Committee for 2024.
That's what I move.
And I'm sorry, you're moving that? We have a second? We don't need a second?
No, it's already been decided.
Doesn't matter? Just move on? Vote's done. There is. This is the recommendation, though, that Mr. Chapman said he was going to talk about. Sorry, did I wake you? I'm sorry. That payment of the meeting remuneration and travel expenses be authorized for the 208, sorry, director appointment except where provided by external organizations.
Second.
Director Wally, Director Mawini, discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Thank you. BC, Recycle BC Initiative, incentive, that was close. Got it in there just in time. Cortez Island Solid Waste Collection, that the report from the CAO be received.
So moved.
Second.
Goldman, Director Wally, second. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. Director Vonish, do you want to read B?
Sure, I move that a bylaw to increase user fees for the Cortez Island solid waste collection system be prepared for further consideration, and that any shortfall in the current year operating budget for the solid waste collection service be covered by reserve funds.
Director Wally, second. Discussion? Director Sinnott.
Yeah, just clarification, which reserve fund, just so I have an idea? Is it a
Solid
Cortez?
waste, yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Just for those online or watching later, kind of an unfortunate situation here. BC Recycling Incentive Program evaluating that Cortez isn't recycling enough by weight, and that the service that is being provided, which has been subsidized the average person by about $34 per household, has been cut. So we're going to have to increase our tax requisition to have people cover that. It's going to be roughly approximately $25 per household. However, BC Recycling is evaluating this incentive program, and there are potential changes that may come in the next year.
Further discussion? Director Chapman?
Thank you, Chair. I'm okay with this resolution going on for 2024, but I don't think we should be using reserve funds every year. I think the user fees should be increased to reflect the cost of the service.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree, Director Chapman. This was a way to sort of buffer the increase this year, rather than everybody jump by $25 this year. We do $10 this year and then jump up to the full amount the following year.
I'm good with this strategy. It's a good use of reserve funds to have that buffer, that ability to phase in the increased user fees. But I just want to make sure that next year we increase the fees as needed.
That's certainly my intent, and there is our reserve fund is healthy to be able to cover this. Thanks.
Further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, carried. Gas tax, funding request, Cortez Housing Society. Report from the CAO be received.
So moved.
Director Von Esch.
Second.
Director Mawhinney, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried. B,
I'd like to move that an agreement be prepared to authorize up to $140,000 of the Area B Community Works funds being allocated to construct road access to the Rainbow Ridge Housing Project under contract with the Cortez Housing Society.
do I have a second? Director Mawhinney, discussion? Director Chapman.
Thank you, Chair. A question to staff. There's a provision in the Local Government Act to not provide financial assistance to a commercial undertaking. Has that been reviewed? Is this, I know it's a society, but a society can be a profit-seeking organization. Does this fit that?
Yeah, this request from the gas tax does fit that. It's a public access road, so even though it is accessing what is potentially going to be, it is going to be a public housing project, the access road is open to the public. So it's eligible for gas tax.
Director Chapman.
Chair, yeah, it's a public access road, and I know it's going to be access for everyone getting in there, but does that meet the definition of what is deemed to be a public access road?
Yeah, so if it's, one of the examples, even though it may seem foolish, is like when you talk to UBCM about it, like if you ordered pizza and the pizza delivery could come and access the road freely and people could come visit you, that's classified as a public accessible road and available for the entire community. So it is eligible under the program.
Director Chapman.
Yeah, I guess I've got this strange look on my face because, the access road is part of the cost of the construction of that project.
Yeah, one of the challenges is to have the housing project continue to be eligible for BC housing grants. They need to make certain steps and show a certain amount of progress. As I understand it, one of the challenges they have is clearing the property, and they need access to clear the property, and the access road will ultimately convert into a public road to access the development. So in order to move forward with their application with BC Housing, they need to clear the property and they need to get into it.
Director Chapman.
So I'm sorry, I don't mean to belabor this, but I just want to make sure I'm clear on what we're voting on. Because if this is going to be, who's going to maintain this road?
Ultimately, when it is built, it would be the Ministry of Transportation and Highways.
Okay, so it'll be signed over to the ministry?
Ultimately, yes, yeah.
And the eventual replacement of that road would be funded from the province or the society?
Who knows?
again?
I mean, it's either going to be the province or the society. It'll be part of the development of the housing project that is included in our application. This certainly will not provide today $140,000 for a highways road under their standard, but it will provide a base and access to that road, and ultimately, if funding is made available through BC Housing that includes the road will be built to a highway standard and transferred to highways. It cannot be a private road. Otherwise, that funding would have to come back to us because the intent is for a public access road.
So can I follow up?
Please.
Just so we understand the implications of this, because there's new accounting requirement out for the retirement of assets. So we're going to have to now record someone's going to have to record in their financial statements. I guess it's going to be the province about the cost of eventually replacing or retiring this asset. So I want to make sure that where's that responsibility going to fall? That's why I'm asking the question, who's going to maintain and
Highways.
highways?
Yeah, we're certainly not going to unless, I mean.
Yeah, sorry, I can't hear anybody at all. I got cut out there and then signed back in, and I can't hear anybody.
Okay, well, we can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you, but nobody else.
Okay, I might be the only one using my mic. Okay.
Can you hear Dave? I would take that as a no.
Martin, both you and Matthew are muted there. Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can. Oh, okay.
We need little signs that you can hold up so they can see them.
Yeah. Okay, we'll send a message to Martin and Matthew that, all right, well, regardless, ultimately, this is going to be a road transferred to highways. When it's built to highway standards, it will be transferred to them, certainly not the SRD.
So we're going to use grant money we've gotten from the province to build a road for the province for them to take over.
I would characterize this as, a rough-in access, a baseline for road. It's certainly not going to build the road to the standard, but it's going to be used as an access and ultimately built and transferred into a highways accessible road that's accessible for the community. I'm not here to justify whether there's good value in this. All I can tell you is it is eligible under UBCM rules for it. It's up to you to determine whether the value is there, not me.
Okay, further discussion. Director Von Esch.
Thank you. Just wanted to add that, this is funds from the Cortez Growing Community Funds for capital projects.
No, this is gas tax.
Yeah, sorry, Cortez gas tax funding. And that this is, a real need in our community is to get this nonprofit housing built. And this is another small step forward in getting that done. It fits under the mandate of what the funding is. There's a big need in the community, and I hope we'll find support around the board table for this. Thank you.
Okay, further discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion is carried.
So an option for you, Mr. Chair. So get the two folks online, we would need to reboot the system, which will take 5 minutes. So we can either take a break or we can continue on and. Okay,
Well, for Director Lott and Director Chapman, we should take a 10-minute break.
Sure.
Yes, now he likes me. Okay. So folks, we'll reconvene back at 10:02.